The Earnestly Speaking podcast is a show that is founded on free-flowing conversation and may at times venture into mature subjects. Listener discretion is advised.
Yeah, Earnestly Speaking podcast. Let's get it. I'm a giant in New York, in Miami carry heat. So much more in store, my product can flood the street. Opinion Nation Godfather, CEO. Puff in the late 90s, gon' see me blow. Oh, got my hustle on, no imitation of bad. Army of untouchables, Opinion Nation staff. Never an off season, homie, check the numbers. Heart throbbing my own right, supplying southern comfort. Earnestly speaking, my ego is well fed. Earnestly speaking, you're too feeble and no threat. See, I'm like a hurricane, you're a mild breeze. Earnestly speaking, leaving Eli a dynasty. Shake!
Earnestly podcast coming to you January 24th, 2024. Doing this one a little later than usual because normally we record our screen reports on Tuesday mornings / afternoons, but a boy here, Kyle, had to tend to some family stuff.
Parenthood got to me instead of you for once.
I am totally on board with that. I totally get it, brother. How you doing?
Well enough, man. Listen, this sort of thing fits more on your pod. Listen. Okay, clinging to life right now on one thing. My son, in his first ever organized sporting activity, scored 2 goals.
I saw that. He sent me the text. That's awesome.
It's not even so much the 2 goals, is when he scored the goal. He made a lot of good plays. The tempo of the game really kind of went around him. Now, I'll grant you, sometimes because he would get to the ball and just chase it and kick it in like going horizontal instead of vertical, and it ends up out of bounds, stopping the game. He still drove the tempo, is my point. He was off the first to the ball. But I say all the above to say this: when he would score, he's already doing a dance as if he should be in the MLB. So he's got that part down. And that can brighten your day, my friend. I can guarantee it.
Well, we're gonna keep it abbreviated because obviously we'll record this real late. I've recorded already 4 hours of podcast.
Tell you about the second app. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, no, I did it. The last episode, you guys, I was in the feed. You'll see I did it over 2-hour podcast earlier this afternoon rather.
You did a lot on wrestling there, did you?
Well, half politics, half wrestling. Yes.
I mean,
yes.
You're not wrong. I mean, Vince makes it about politics sometimes. That's
very true. And then we literally just 5 minutes ago, we'll come on here, recorded our weekly Huddle Up podcast with, of course, Big Jim, Matt. Winding down there for the season, really. Very sad, actually, for that. Because I really enjoy doing that show every Tuesday night. I look forward to that every week. It's so much fun. So my voice sounds cracked because I feel like I'm getting sick. So I want to get this out of the way now while we can. So we're going to try to do this as quick as we can, as efficient as we can.
We carry this show anyway. It's fine.
Excuse me. Yeah.
That's calling it like when you call into work sick, you always got to throw that one cough in there. Yeah, I'm feeling sick. So listen to this.
Right?
Hey, listeners.
So Kyle, we are now post-division weekend, postmortem here. Biggest takeaway for you this past weekend?
Oh, yeah. For me, the biggest takeaway is honestly more about the future of certain clubs, to be honest.
Okay.
The Packers are brighter than I could have even imagined. I'm not in full-on, I owe Jordan Love an apology yet. But boy, howdy, the potential's on the table. Like, I'm starting to craft the pre-writing. I'm starting to buy the stationery. You know what I'm saying? But in the meantime, like I appreciate the ghost of Brett Favre infecting the appropriate quarterbacks for me to have a story I like in the NFC. I'm very glad the Lions are advancing, and should they even beat the Niners, I think that's cool. Granted, we'll have to listen to Big Jim the Homer. There's your reference this week, Chief.
Homer.
But listen, you and other people are different. I'll be honest. And this is coming from somebody, by the way, who's been very directly hurt by this player and team in question. I don't understand all the Chiefs hate out there in the lexicon.
I don't either. But it's happens to all dynasties.
Hold up. You just said you were fatigued of the Chiefs last week on Huddle Up.
No. I didn't say that. Me? No.
I might have to jump to the tape.
No, that was not me. That's Jim. That's definitely Jim.
Well, it was Jim and Matt.
And Matt, definitely. That is not me. I root for the Chiefs to be going to beat Buffalo.
Okay.
So.
Listen, you're a baseball guy. If I misremembered it, fine. That's how I'll apologize to you, is I'll make a fucking baseball reference on your show there. There you go.
But the thing is, this happens a lot of dynasties too. Also, you see a lot of teams that when they start getting a lot of success, it gets old fast. It happened with the Pats. Every team.
It happened with the Pats, but I think it's more because of
the cheating stuff too also added to it.
Yeah, the scandal surrounding it. Some of those early Patriots teams, not necessarily the most fun to watch. I mean, blitz and foul is a way of life. Getting the rule book changed for you, that's a lot different than what the Chiefs are doing. Patrick LeVon Mahomes II is just playing amazing football, and Andy Reid's doing amazing coaching. Like, listen, this past weekend even wasn't about Patrick LeVon Mahomes II, in my opinion. Granted, he made great plays, as he tends to do. Finding Travis Kelce on a play action is a brilliant thing, but that play action was set up by getting this. Andy Reid running the football. There are not enough people. The only person I've heard talk about it actually is, not surprisingly, another offensive lineman and Andrew Woodworth on the Rich Eisen podcast. I haven't heard anybody bringing up the Chiefs running the goddamn football. It doesn't make any sense. Oh, well, there is one other guy that did it. Me, yesterday on 1540 AM, The Fan in Melbourne. Anyway.
There you go.
Mark Moses and the Mark Moses Show.
That's right. What to your point about like people not appreciating things, this is America. We build up things and turn them down. Like do that.
Just
we
like
get bored of it. We get bored easily.
Anyways,
so like I said, we'll obviously discuss more on next week, especially too when we have the losing teams from Championship Weekend and their seasons and whatnot. But we're gonna give a lot of grades now to the 4 teams eliminated this week at Divisional Weekend. Let's start here first. The first game.
Let's get the easiest one out of the way. Texans.
Houston Texans.
A+. Let's go.
Oh, yeah. A+ here, too. Absolutely. Again, this was the worst team in football for the last 2 years. The worst team. And immediately, new head coach, new quarterback. C.J. Stroud's probably going to be I don't know. Too early probably to do this now. But, we got to consider him a top 10 guy right now at this point. Maybe a top 5 guy if we get frisky with that. But he's in the conversation for being one of those top quarterbacks in the league that go to next year.
I will without having opportunity to do full postmortem and analysis.
Right.
You have the top 10 for certain. Top 5, let's pump them damn brakes. Let's remember there's a number of talented guys that left the season early. Like for one, Kenny Pickett. I'm joking.
No, A+ is easy. That was easy.
Yeah.
It's like even if they missed the playoffs, but like how we're like 9-8, I would have still given them an A.
Listen, man, the Student of the Game Awards has not had 2 rookies from the same team represent, but C.J. Stroud, Will Anderson Jr. definitely there. And the Texans were also the biggest surprise in the Student of the Game Awards this year. So, all the above stated in a succinct fashion where I can end it all with a bing and move on.
Yeah. So great year for the Texans. D'Amico Ryans, in my opinion, coach of the year. Close race with Stefanski.
Wrong, and it's really not close. Like everybody just handing it to D'Amico is
I knew Stefanski guy.
Properly weighing it out. Stefanski is actually the correct answer.
Let me say this though, to your point. Let me say it to your point though.
Yes.
There's no wrong answer between those 2 guys. In my opinion.
If you want them to coach your team, absolutely. Like
those are your 2 guys in there. There's no third guy in the race. Who else do you consider coach of the year other than those 2?
So here's the thing. I don't agree with your statement outright. I think there are years where guys have had performances that would have won them the award, or certainly had worthy performances that were decided later in the year by teams doing shit that you didn't think was going to happen. Like, hey, EJ, Browns at the 5 seed. No, you didn't. You're lying.
No.
Certainly on double-digit wins for the Browns. You didn't have that. Hey, EJ, the Colts competing for the playoffs. Liar. No, you didn't.
Nope.
That's why Steichen deserved a little bit of tribute.
He'd be the 3rd guy in my list if he go 3rd guy.
And rightly so. I think Sean Payton deserved some consideration, but talked himself out of it with all the scandal, certainly, but had what I would call a worthwhile performance. McVay should have been in the conversation.
Yeah.
John Harbaugh should have been in the conversation with, Lamar Demetrius Jackson, an MVP candidate, perhaps. But part of the reason they're there is dealing with all the injuries and hubbub that they've had. And by the way, domination in a fashion of which we hadn't seen. Why is it different than Kyle Shanahan? Because, the Ravens didn't have a 3-game slide in 3 consistent weeks to relatively weaker teams. So no, the Browns among them, actually.
Yeah, of course.
There's a lot of things going on there. By the way, the Colts deserving consideration also because they beat the Ravens as well. There's just so many. I feel like there's a lot of Tomlin pulling a winning season with Mason goddamn Rudolph out. Forget it. But I think that speaks more to the job that Ryans and the actual coach of the year, Stefanski, pulled off. I mean, listen, at the end of the year, the one time that the Texans were without their starting quarterback, they lost to Zach fucking Wilson. By the way, how many times did the Texans beat the Ravens this year and the 49ers? Oh, that's right.
Yeah, the Browns did, though. Yep.
The Browns beat them both. That's correct. Oh, Kyle, but they didn't win the division. I'm well aware of that. Who did they have staring in front of them? The Ravens, who are head and shoulders the number 1 team, especially on tool time, right, EJ Christian? Or a Jags team that basically fell apart due to injury and certain just things that were exposed. So no, I don't. And yes, I mentioned the Jags directly, EJ Christian, because they lost to the Titans. That matters.
Yeah, like I said, there's no bad answer there. Honestly, those two guys. Honestly, you can go.
And keep in mind, I am nitpicking. If there was an occasion where I wasn't inclined to stab you in the face with an ice pick when you use 1A, 1B, this would be among them.
You're worse. All right, Green Bay Packers.
I mean, think about it. Hey, in what world would I be that big an asshole to be like, you're kind of right.
All right, Green Bay Packers win the year, the regular season anyway, at 9-8. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, are we giving them credit for a playoff win?
I'm just saying this, how the season ended and then what we won a playoff game and all that. Yeah.
And listen, a 9-8 to me is impressive. Now, I will grant you, Ernest Christian, I had them winning 8 games, and I am in the minority there. I was more optimistic than many people, putting them in 8 wins. I had them at higher wins than the Packers representative Darrell Owens of Legacy Maker, Legacy Maker Sports, who had them only winning 7. So I saw the potential here, and I had more faith in Matt LaFleur than I had allowed LaFleur, yes, than I had allowed in the past. And they made me look smart. So obviously, because they were teachers' pets, I'm going to mark them a little higher, he said jokingly. That being said, I'm going to say they didn't exactly go out on a blaze of glory here. I think I don't want to grade them down for the playoff game. I think that's a bit much.
They almost won the playoff game, for crying out loud.
They did. There's a couple regular season things where I'm like, that's what happened. You lost to them,
the Giants,
for example. I mean, gosh,
the Bucs are not a bad loss at this point now.
I'm not prepared to say the Bucs are a bad loss, but it's definitely a game they should have won. That's
right, home, especially at home. Yeah.
Right. So that's why I have them into A instead of an A+. But yeah, still an excellent job.
I'm in the same boat with you. 2 for 2. You and I, A as well.
And you steal my notes. We've been over this.
Right. 10 years later, get over it.
Falcons. What the F are we doing? I don't care if it was only 1 point. Why are they in the game? They lost to the Raiders. I forgot about that too.
11 years later, man. You should be used to this now. No, but Green Bay was the team coming in the year. We did not know how good they were because they could have been a 3-win team or a 10-win team, depending on how things sliced. And, they start the year 3-6, and we're like, oh, this team is not good. Jordan Love is probably going to be the quarterback of the future. And then Thanksgiving happens, and he runs off, and he goes on the heater. This kid, he's good. We'll see if this continues into next year. I don't know where you will rank him going to next year. We'll see. We'll obviously do those things in the offseason. That's offseason content for us later on. But I have to go A as well, too. I think giving away how they played the end of the year and then winning a playoff game against a 2-seed Dallas Cowboys team, you got to give him credit for that. So A is what it is.
On that, I shan't front. Next up.
Yeah. Next one, the Buccaneers, we just mentioned, end of the year, also 9-8 as NFC South champions.
Yeah, they slightly outperformed my expectation, but that comes with a very minimal star on this one. Listen, your 13-win, number 1 win Saints, even were
What's the doing that, huh? Yeah.
Well, yeah, because it's funny. Listen, I picked the Saints to win 10. They didn't. No, we'll leave it at that. But I say all that to say, I picked the Bucks. I'm sorry, I picked the Bucks to win 6. I picked them to be the worst in the division. They were not. Baker Mayfield played a lot better than I could have imagined, and I think I alluded to this on some other recordings already. That the statement that anybody at quarterback other than Jameis Winston could have gotten this team to the playoffs has been proven beyond a reasonable doubt, right? Brady got them to a Super Bowl and an NFC Championship game, and Baker Mayfield not only got them to the divisional round, but won a playoff game. Granted, it was against a, eventually hapless Eagles team, but yeah, I can't go lower than a B minus. I'll put them in a B because, again, major marks against them for being in the NFC South.
Yeah, this is tough too because you want to grade them also based on the environment. I knew they'd be competitive because I had the over. I had the over. Well, I had the over 6.5. 6.5 wins the over under they had the put your start. I went over.
I didn't, so
I thought Mike Evans, Baker Mayfield could be something that can steal a couple games here and there. The schedule worked out, that kind of thing.
Expectations are different. You're
right, and they went ahead and won the damn division on top of that, and then won a playoff game on top of that.
But again, the division less impressive.
Of course, yeah. So A minus.
Really high, buddy. Okay.
Maybe a little bit. Yeah. I mean, maybe. But again, I had a 7 and 10. That was my prediction. 7 and 10. And then when you go to the playoffs and win a playoff, I think winning a playoff game though, and I know it was against a Eagles team that was struggling.
Like
again,
you said A minus. You're not a full grade higher than me. Okay. Because I said B, right. So
it's B plus. It's B plus.
No. Okay. Then if I said B plus, I'm an idiot. You're fine.
I think the reward is the playoff win, and I know against the Eagles struggling, whatever. But the Eagles.
That's listen, you still had to supplant Jason Daniel Kelsey. You still had to get into the face of Jalen Hurts, who had over 300 yards in a Super Bowl last year, right? Had the right stat line to get an MVP of the Super Bowl as a losing player. If media folks had the bravery to do that, they don't. I would have, but
they beat a defending conference champion, blew them out, and were competitive against Detroit. What they can ask for.
What now?
The Bucs. They beat a defending conference champion.
Got you.
And then we're competitive against Detroit. So if anything,
would you call that a ball? I guess, yeah.
What 32 to 7? What was it? 32-9? That's a blowout.
Did they get? Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot they lit it up at the end. Yeah.
So yeah. No,
okay,
Bucks.
Okay.
So A minus. And you win playoff game, competitive. You're one game from the conference championship game. I mean, that's
I think, to your point, I think you're right to give them more credit for a convincing record. Yeah, or convincing victory in the playoffs. That's fair. 30. Right. Okay, you sold me. And though it didn't feel that close, losing the game by only a score. Okay. Right. Okay. You won me over. I'm not going to say A minus, but you've sold me as to maybe it's not as bad as I thought.
Right. And finally, the AFC East champions, Buffalo Bills, who finished the year 11-6. This is a tough one. This is a real tough one, to be honest with you.
I mean, it should be less tough for you. Like, you are probably still writing apology notes. Dear Bills fans, I'm sorry I said you missed the playoffs after you lost a must-win game in week 1. If you could ever find it in your...
Yeah.
By the game,
not my finest hour, I guess, right?
If we can be perfectly honest, I need you to know one truth. It's still funny. Anyways, no, listen, man. I feel like I'll put it this way. They impressed you more than me, but I'm hitting you with a technicality, right? They won 11 games. I picked them to win 10 and go to the playoffs, right? I believed in them where you didn't. I also had them winning the division in a tiebreak. I was also picking in a world where you nor I thought the Jets would lose their starting quarterback in 4 damn games, right?
Yeah.
So
plays.
if you take the Jets out of it, I still had them beating the Finns by a single game. I had 9 wins for the Finns. I had 10 for the Bills. So really, not far off, right? I'm a game off on both of them. That being said, I feel like they did enough offensively to win the football game against the Chiefs. I also feel like they did enough throughout the year in adjustments to the staff. We mentioned the removal of Ken Dorsey in the past, and let's see what happens. It seemed like a scapegoat move, and then it was proven like, oh, hey, maybe McDermott's not that dumb as a head coach after all. I honestly think that while it was seen as a scapegoat move at the time, that might actually be what eventually saved McDermott's job. And if he lasts another year after that, I would still point back to this occurrence. You can mark it here on January 23rd as we record this.
24th. 23rd. Sorry.
Yeah, it'll probably be the 24th by the time's actually up.
Right.
That's what she said. But yeah, I say all of the above. You can't put them below a B, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go A- here, especially with as many haters as we're out there, especially with the known internal issues. Yeah, I got A-.
So they did win one more game than I thought they'd win. I think they were 10.5 over under. I went under 10 wins because of the schedule.
I technically went under as well. I mean, yeah, by the way, great point. What were we saying all through the damn preseason and into the season? How hard their schedule was, and they still got double-digit wins.
They caught breaks. Some injuries here and there. Caught breaks. Some other teams getting hurt. But still, that's part of the game.
Yeah.
I'm checking right now to see where I stand on the hold on. So I was Buffalo, 10.5. I went under in that one. I straddled between C plus B minus, and then I'm like, wait a second, hold on. They were 6-6 with the building on fire. Fire McDermott. Diggs is not happy. Josh Allen's 2 turnover prone.
You kept the schedule.
And all they did was, okay, let's adjust here. Let's fire Ken Dorsey. Let's bring in Joe Brady. That ended up being the thing that saved their season.
They crushed your Cowboys.
My Cowboys. It's funny.
Yours in the sense of A, that you're a fan of them, and B, and,
see, the thing is,
and B, you picked the Cowboys to go to the Super Bowl.
See, the thing is, though, while I was still bullish on them because of the schedule, I still looked at them as a team that should be playing.
You were bearish
opportunity to go to the Super Bowl
with the schedule. You mean you were bearish on the
right? Sorry, bearish. Yeah, but I thought this is still a team that should be considered, a contender for the Super Bowl. No, even with my prediction.
No, you didn't. You had them missing the playoffs. How the fuck can you miss
because of the schedule
and be a Super Bowl contender?
Because of the schedule.
What?
Because of the schedule.
Schedule was a thing that was going to be a problem.
I know. My thought was there was just too many great teams in that schedule that prevent them from going win 11 plus games.
Right. So how does that make wow.
So I'm gonna go B plus because at the end of the day, they did their job. They won more games than they're supposed to win, based on my expectations.
We switched on that one from who'd we do previously? The Packers. Yeah, the A plus.
The Bucks.
Thank you. Yeah, we switched spots on that. That's interesting. Okay.
Right. No, I'm gonna go B plus here because I think ultimately, I think they're right there. I think once they tweak the situation with the offensive coordinator with Ken Dorsey into Joe Brady, I think that helped the situation. They became a little more run heavy, less Josh Allen reliant, which helped. And I got reward that too, also put up self-awareness as well.
By the way, make sure you tune into the Huddle Up podcast as well. Bing, where you see EJ Christian talk about how the window is closed for the Bills.
No, I never said that. I said on that show. Yeah, I said if you're gonna make moves, do you move Diggs? Do you fire McDermott? I'm not comfortable with firing McDermott because I think he should be rewarded for the turnaround he did. But I think there'll be a hot seat next year for this team.
Well, I mean, yeah, they're at risk of him becoming, he and Kyle Shanahan are both at risk of becoming Marty Schottenheimer.
A little bit. At some point, you got to break through the ice.
Or, I mean, I guess the correct, who's the coach at the time? Marv Levy. There we go.
Yeah.
Steve.
Well, at least he got the Super Bowls.
You did. You're not wrong.
He lost to all-time great teams, though, to be fair.
Well, also,
the last three anyway, especially the last three.
The Cowboys and other NFC teams had Joe Montana in the way. The Bills did not have a Joe Montana equivalent back then in that conference.
Although they did beat Montana one year to go to Super Bowl, the last one.
With the Chiefs.
KC. Yeah.
But what I'm trying to tell you is, ironically, the Chiefs also have that Montana component. The Bills aren't eating because Patrick LeVon Mahomes II often
is that damn fucking good, right? 0-3, but they're close. They're not the teams that blow them out. The games are going on the wire. So
I mean, pop quiz, EJ Christian. Josh Allen is the Reggie Miller of the NFL.
Says better, but I see the comparison though.
You're seeing wait. So you're saying that Josh Allen is a higher echelon player in the NFL than Reggie Miller was the NBA? That's a hell of a statement.
I agree. I will say yes.
I don't know.
I think Charles Barkley's a little more the better.
Reggie Miller gave Jordan fits, for Christ's sake.
1 year.
1 year.
98.
I mean,
98 year.
Well, you're talking about in the playoffs. I'm talking about whenever they took the court with one another. And to your point, I see why you're focused on the playoffs, but like
playoffs,
right? To your point, like Reggie Miller and Michael Jordan would claw at each other. Man.
Oh God, yeah.
So that's right. Kind of where I take it, like, because I'm not going to go to John Starks. He's not. Come on, the real hero of that team was not the backcourt for those Knicks that were constantly battling Jordan. That's why I go the Reggie Miller direction with the Pacers.
Right. So we'll give him B+. You know what? Because
damn NBA with you. Go Heat, bitch.
Yeah, you got go Heat, bitch. You should get credit for turning things around and winning a playoff game and nearly beating the Chiefs. So we'll give him that. All right, couple of things to get out of here. I'm gonna keep it short and sweet because my throat's going away. My voice is going away. Jim Harbaugh. It looks like it's not official yet, but it looks like Chargers and Jim Harbaugh. It looks closer and closer and closer to becoming reality.
I mean, of course, I like it. The point's been made, I think, better by Colin Cowherd than anybody else. Like, people are going to call Harbaugh an offensive coach simply because he was an NFL quarterback. But listen, despite the fact that he threw a pass even in the season finale of Briscoe County Jr., check it out there, by the way. Mm-hmm. We do a retrospective of it on not Earnestly Speaking, but Hilarity by Default. Bing! So check that out.
When's that coming back, by the way?
Probably not. But thanks for bringing up that sore topic.
I'm the first after that. Yeah.
This is what happens when the host gets married and starts taking over the world up there in Rock City. I digress. Sure. Although I am looking forward to if the Jags ever head to the former Ralph Wilson Stadium to do a project up there with Demos. That's a whole other question. The punchline is this, my good friend. He may be a quarterback, but look at some of his teams and how they've won. Like, the quarterback that got him to the Super Bowl was Colin Kaepernick. And regardless of whatever the political undertones that come with that name are, he wasn't a traditional passing quarterback. This dude was an athlete that could sling it. Right? Mm-hmm. Defense won those championships. Well, conference championships anyway. We don't need to talk about Jimmy Smith hanging all over, Michael Crabtree somewhere. I digress. That might be an inappropriate joke, but I said what I said. Anyways, the punchline.
You always do.
Harbaugh, I think, is a guy that's more about changing culture than he is about bringing a particular style of offense, defense, X's and O's, what have you. And I think it's safe to say that culture is the issue in Los Angeles for the Chargers right now, right?
Without question.
I don't love it. I think Spanos is just setting up a situation where there's another conflict with Harbaugh. But hey, listen, if they find a way to supplant Patrick LeVon Mahomes II for a Chiefs team that is at least appearing to trend down in their roster, I'd love to see some lightsaber duels between a proper Herbert-led Chargers team and Patrick LeVon Mahomes II and the Chiefs. I'm not saying they'll win. Listen, we all want to see Darth Vader Luke Skywalker in the lightsaber duels too. Doesn't mean he won all the motherfuckers. Okay.
All right, the other coach here, Bill Belichick. He's had now 2 meetings with the Falcons, and it sounds like that's closing also on a possibility. In fact, the word is that the job is his if he wants it, according to sources.
I mean,
Hoodie to Atlanta. Your thoughts?
I mean, Belichick to Atlanta, and for a team that I call the fraud cons, you can see why I have trouble believing that that's going to happen, right? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. I don't think he's a good fit, EJ.
Mhm.
Whoa, but Kyle, he'll bring in other guys. I understand that, but the Falcons, for all their offensive acquisitions and about all these alleged weapons, need an offensive-minded guy that'll take care of the O-line and let everything else fall where they may in a division that's complete ass. Now, the one thing that Belichick has correct is to return to a weak division if he wants to dominate it or at least get to Shula's record. Because that's how he and Brady did what they did in the AFC East. Hashtag I said it. So that, of course, he has going for him. And if that is even the case, I don't think the Falcons should make the hire. To me, he's not a fit. I think the best fit for Bill Belichick is one of two places. Chicago to clean things up, or, and I mean, Grace, if he's in Chicago to clean things up, he's just setting the table for the next guy, let's be clear, right? Or the Eagles need to get off the pot, cut Sirianni, and bring in Bill. I don't think that'll happen either, but those are the best fits, in my opinion, for Bill Belichick.
Right. All right, one last piece of news here. Bengals offensive coordinator Brian Callahan officially named head coach of the Tennessee Titans. Your thoughts on that?
I don't think Vrabel should have been fired. Obviously, that's
100% with you on that one.
And if you're going to do it, bringing in an offensive guy that has done some stuff with a coach in Zach Taylor, who plenty of people question, isn't necessarily a horrible move, right? You're sliding chips on the table. Hey, listen, you put Joey Buh in a situation where he came out quick. At the very least, you're involved with Jake Browning. Maybe you can pull something out of the hat and make something out of, Music City Malik Willis or the mayonnaise messiah Will Levis. That's the hope. And I don't dislike that. Defensively, the Titans haven't been all that. That's Vrabel's side of the ball, other than Jeffrey Simmons. And I think they have a pretty good safety. Their defense has not particularly excited me. Granted, they took a risk on Dupree and some guys that are long in the tooth, but I don't dislike it. And honestly, it's a good thing to reboot your offense as such, just in time for Father Time to be getting into the final rounds against your main guy, Derrick Henry the King.
Right. All right, man. One of the shorter reports we do here. Just getting to the end of the year, of course, but we'll be back next week, of course. Again, I apologize for not having us a little earlier, but again, schedule conflict happens. We got it in.
Who bleeping who?
That's right. Kyle, plug away.
Honor, joy, and privilege, EJ Christian. Glad to be aboard again. Of course, I'm Kyle Nash, the student of the game. Find me at the SOTG on Twitter, Threads, and Instagram.
So you do use Threads. Good job.
Yeah, I do. I'm even on Spill, technically, if you want to go that crazy.
Really?
I am. Listen, I mean, Big Jim very politically incorrectly said, I'm more black than you. I'm on Spill and you're not. I think that's more evidence to the same.
Oh,
Anyways,
damn. Oh, man. Oh, interesting.
By the way, do your Trump impression again.
I gotta figure out what I want to say.
Tell me, don't be rude.
Don't be rude. Don't be rude.
Further proof I'm blacker than you. You can do a good Trump impression. So
you can dance better than he do, I guess. Well, not saying much, but
I'm not going that far. Anyways, that all being said, all the above is a joke. Please don't cancel me. Student of the Game on Facebook, as well as my writings with the Jaguar Report, the Black and Gold Banneret, and the 3-point conversion, as well as my work covering the Orlando Magic with A7 BN Sports. And of course, look out for the Student of the Game podcast coming up later this week as well. EJ Christian on Honor, Joy, and Privilege class.
Right.